So I had a long debate slash discussion with my wife today where we were talking about like human attributes. One of the nerdy things that I do is I play Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. And each civilization has what they're good at and different attributes. You can tell how you're winning by how you do in your economy and militarily. And in the same way, we were kind of talking about how does that apply to real life? Like, what are humans and what are their attributes? So, for example, Mr. Jackson here is in the 50th percentile for height and weight, so he's extremely average. But I wonder if we think of each person that you know on a scale of 1 to 10, and we pick some areas like finances. How are you doing with your finances? Are you increasing your assets, your net wealth, or are you acquiring debt? Let's say relationships. How are you doing with your relationships? Are you overachieving, underachieving, or not doing anything? How about your relationships with family? Thinking about your job, on a scale of 1 to 10, are you satisfied, or are you like a worker bee where you clock in at 9, you do whatever it is that you do for work, and then you go home at 5 and you take your 2 to 3 weeks of vacation that you have every single year? I'm just really curious, like, where do you see yourself fitting in? Trying to think, what are the other categories? One of them could be kids. Do you want kids? Do you want a house, assets, stuff like that? How are you doing in those different areas? And then, like, some of the other kind of weird ones, like, how do you serve your friend group? What type of friends do you have? Do you feel fulfilled in life? Psychologically and emotionally, like how are you doing? One of the other things that we were discussing today too is how this generation is one of the few generations that hasn't had any major wars that have challenged or not even challenged, but any major negative consequences like that have provided the level of uncertainty that just the last month or two has. I wonder how that has played into resiliency with previous generations, or just the fact that the level of affluence was lower than it currently is. Like right now, I would say we're probably as affluent if you go through and you look at measures of affluence, which average square footage of houses and stuff like that. I read an economic history of the United States about a year ago, and the size of houses just exploded after the 1950s. Prior to that, if you go into houses built in the 1950s, you'll notice they had really small closets. Now we have all these walk-in closets. Well, why is that? Well, because, in the 30s and 40s, you had a couple of outfits. You didn't have like a different button-down shirt that you would wear every single day to the bank. Maybe if you worked at a bank then you would, but you didn't if you were just a general person like you do now. The number of people that went to a university or a college was infinitesimally lower than what it currently is. Our manufacturing was not as complex as it is. We didn't have as many complex manufacturing like computers and advanced technology that we currently have, and we weren't as services based as we are now. So it's kind of been interesting to see the economy pivot from agrarian and shipping to heavy industry, which is steel and things like that, into the services and more white collar work that we do now. But it'd be interesting to also ponder and kind of look at how has that changed the American spirit, or how has that changed how 90% of Americans describe themselves and how they describe success. Great questions, but just some things that I was thinking about today that you can ponder with me. Look forward to your comments. Have a great day. Happy Memorial Day.